On today's episode, I have brought on Coach Issy. She is a performance and strength coach. And in this episode, we really just have a candid conversation about the reality of building a fitness business. She has been in the game for quite a few years now. So she was able to essentially share some, I guess the reality of what it actually takes, things that has worked for her, things that haven't. And all in all, I just feel like this is a really good episode for someone, not only if you're in the fitness industry, if you've got sort of any service-based business, especially if there's a component to your service that's actually online, I recommend you definitely give this a listen. Outside of that, you'll get a lot from this episode in terms of like Issy's mindset. I feel like she's just a weapon when it comes to building resilience. About a year and a half ago, Issy actually came to me and asked me to be her mentor because she wanted to start a podcast for her business. And that podcast is called The Growth Mindset. I recommend, if you like the sound of Issy, to go and listen to that, especially if you're into self-development and mindset. She has not missed a published date since we got it live together a year ago, which is just amazing. She even said in the episode that the podcast is pretty much the one thing that she actually sort of felt has improved her business, which was so epic to hear. But yeah, basically expect to be uplifted by this conversation. Everybody enjoy the episode. I will see you in there. Thank you so much. This podcast is brought to you by On Track Studio. Isabella Satara, welcome to Big Brand Energy.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. I'm so excited to have you here.
I'm always excited to be here.
Literally, it feels right. You've been
so
right up in here.
It's so right.
For the listeners or viewers, Issy actually used to be a client of mine. We launched her podcast actually this time last year. So it's not what we're actually here to talk about at all, but just a fun little milestone. Issy is a performance coach. She does strength and mindset, and she is obviously in one of the most saturated industries in the world. Actually, the wellness industry is on its way to become $1 trillion industry by I think the end of this year. And I wanted to have a discussion about what it's actually like to be in one of the most competitive industries in the world because, I feel like certainly a lot of my clients are that, and that's why I attract them, because they want to start a podcast, differentiate and all of that kind of thing. And you're just one of the best people to talk to about it because you've gone through, how many years in business have you been now?
Oh, give me a second to think. I have almost 7 years of being a coach. So yeah.
Yeah, which is just a long time. You've seen things change. You've felt things change. We've been through so much over the last 7 years. So I guess I want to start off by asking you what you think is the most challenging part about being in such a competitive industry.
Oh, where do I start? Standing out. Standing out in your own unique way, because just the way that I feel the industry is now, it's just everyone's fighting to be seen. Mm-hmm. And you have to be super unique. But I feel like that in that we've lost a sense of realism. Yeah. Everyone's fighting for that, here I am, I'm the best, that they start to do ridiculous shit to get that attention.
Like they're playing a character.
Yeah. And we're just losing touch of what actual health and fitness is.
Yeah.
And this is why I feel a lot of people are so confused with health and fitness, is because of the direction that it's starting to go because of how saturated it is. So everyone's me. But I'm going to say this bullshit to attract you. Mm. And then once you're in, there's just this whole it's saturated in a way that I think everyone's trying to be unique, but they're doing crazy shit to be unique. Okay. And that actually makes it harder for the people who are speaking real info.
What's an example of doing crazy shit? For example,
people who preach the quick shit, quick fads, quick fixes. They just claim that from their own personal experience. It's not data-driven information. Yeah. It's all this worked for me, so I'm going to make it the be-all and end-all, and you have to do it this way, instead of just the real hard-backed science of what actually works and what is actually so simple. Yeah. But people make it out.
Simple isn't sexy.
No, it's not sexy. Yeah. It doesn't sell. Yeah. Simple doesn't sell.
And simple, sustainable practices isn't sexy.
No, the basics aren't sexy. Yeah. Foundations aren't sexy.
Yeah, I know.
But so it's you get lost in the noise by trying to be that person that talks the truth. But And I feel like we're starting to move towards a lot of people starting to see that. There is like movement towards, okay, I can see how this is all fluff, fancy nonsense. Like, can someone make it easier for me? And then that's when people go back to the basics.
Well, do you think that comes from people trialing, like literally buying into, I don't know who these people are, obviously, but let's put whoever you're thinking like in your head, who's selling that like 30 days to whatever. Do you think that the consumers are now cluing on to that it doesn't work because they've actually bought into that and now it didn't work? They didn't get to the goal in 30 days.
Well,
like, why do you think it's shifting?
look, it all depends, because I think a lot of people are wanting those things to still work, and a lot of people are still stuck in them. Like there's one of my biggest parts of my jobs is trying to convince people that this challenge you did is not sustainable. That's why you've gone back to your results.
I understand.
But there are still lessons that you can learn from that challenge.
Yeah.
And it's just trying to teach them, I guess, like the goal of each thing. Like some challenges, for example, like I run a challenge and I tell people some of the things we're going to be doing in this, you're not going to be doing forever, but it's about character building in that moment.
Yeah.
So like there's a purpose behind it. And I think a lot of people put the wrong purpose behind the task and make it really confusing for people. But then when someone's, I guess, they're catching on to the fact that it's not working, it's too hard, all the like quick fads and things that people are doing, people are catching on to, okay, maybe that this isn't working. Maybe I do need to actually look into the truth and I need someone to give me the hard-hitting truth. But there are still people that are searching and they're wanting those things to work. That's why they still work. And that's why everyone is buying into the bullshit, basically. And I don't want to put names to anyone. And when I say names, titles, but fitness influencers have ruined it.
Well, I was going to talk about this.
My personal opinion on the matter.
Well, I was going to actually bring this up with you because the very unique, I guess, the unique component to what you do is that there is literally a history of Fitspo that people were just bloggers, right? And it was Fitspo influencers were the thing. And then that kind of like nuance of like they've built a following based on what they're doing, and then they might try to monetize by selling XYZ, program after they've built the following. You could argue that's their right. But then you're up against that when you're actually coming from a very much like an anchored, like service first point of view in what you do at education, educated, really. You're educated in what you're doing and selling through that, but also equally trying to build your audience, and you're up against someone who's done it the reverse way. That's challenging.
Yeah. I feel when it comes to fitness influencers, and this is where people get lost in the ideas of, they glorify this amazing life, like my results worked. But what a lot of people don't understand is one way doesn't work for everyone.
Yeah.
And when someone's the reason why I feel like it's a problem is just because they have this way of doing it and preaching it and saying this worked for me, this is the image that you basically need to uphold, and it's not reality for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And that's why people, when they get sucked in, they feel really deflated and defeated by it because they haven't realized that those people are not coaches.
Yeah.
And their lifestyle may not work for this person. And that's why they are then continuously searching for something quick because, look, a lot of it can go back to mindset. And that's why I do a lot of mindset work. A lot of it goes back to mindset of like they want that instant gratification and they're stuck in a loop of constantly wanting, I feel so deflated. And because I feel like shit from feeling deflated, I need to go search for something that makes me feel good instead of the actual hard hitting basics that they need to be doing consistently. But because it's so boring, they search for what's fun, flirty, looking really good. If I buy the new fitness set that this influencer's sharing, which nothing about that is wrong. It's just it's catching the wrong attention. Some people can get sucked into that.
Yeah.
And they think, okay, now that I've bought the new fitness gear, I should just magically have the results.
Yeah.
Whereas coaches, we have this ability to morph, and that's why it's super important to understand, like, at the end of the day, it is the basics.
Yeah.
And when we look at people who are living by the basics, it's working. We're not doing anything fancy or fun, but, like, that's why it's not interesting to listen to. It's not sexy to listen to or to follow because we actually have to do it every single day. Whereas people are like, no, I get bored.
Yeah.
I get bored with that. And I'm like, well, that's kind of, I guess, why it's really hard to stand out by preaching the basics, because we're getting sucked into this instant gratification like a loop.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. So what have you done have you ever felt like a positive shift, like through, from year one to now? Obviously there's 7 years in between that, and maybe it was just like a moment of that kind of, you felt like, oh, this is working at that time, or maybe it was recent, but have you ever felt like, oh, okay, this is working, I'm feeling seen, I'm feeling audience growth, or I'm feeling people buy into my programs or services?
When I speak my truth, I think that's a reason why personal brand has become a massive thing, is because not at the same time as me being a coach and being able to apply information to someone based off of their circumstances. And that's what I try and preach to people. I was like, what works for me, if all you're doing is copying what I am doing, it's not going to work for you, but also model off someone that has the results.
Yeah.
But that's two completely different things.
Yeah.
Go and learn from someone that has the results, but it needs to be someone that understands that the way that it works for that person may not actually work for them.
Yeah.
So that's why hiring a coach that's actually got the knowledge behind to go, okay, I've been doing this. It might not work for you. So, but do it like this for you.
Yeah.
Because my everyday life is so different to someone else's everyday life. When I feel like it's shifted and I felt like people, I don't know, that the biggest thing for me is when I had people come through my door, it was like a wake up call. They were like, I've been like, it's a kick up the arse that I've actually needed.
Right.
And I actually don't know where that shift has actually come from, because there are still a lot of those people were still stuck in wanting the results really, really quickly.
Yeah.
But for some reason, something that I said triggered them with the truth. Like, all I'm saying is the truth.
Yeah.
And
do you think, like, if we were to literally like break it down, would it be like they were consuming your stories? Were they like binging your podcast? Were they going back and like looking through all your posts? Like, if you could, well, I guess you can't guess, but have you ever had a conversation with a client?
Well, surprisingly, a lot of people that I spoke to that I found inside like my challenges or inside my world, when I actually did the data collection, and it's something that I've had to do, was actually go, I need to ask these people. Like, I actually need to ask them, like, bro, where'd you find me?
Yeah, 100%.
How'd you actually find me? It's my podcast.
Your podcast?
Yeah,
That's
and I
interesting.
remember when I got my first, I think I messaged you. I got my first sale through my podcast.
Yes.
And I was like, someone just found me through my podcast and went, I found you today and I'm buying into one of your things.
Wow.
And I went, oh my God. And then through different people popping up in my world, I continued to do the thing and ask them. And they're like, I found you through your podcast. And then I had someone else message me, I just literally binged like 8 hours worth of your podcast today. I love your shit. Where can I sign up for one-on-one? Because I've also had, I don't know, I would say my podcast. I wouldn't know whether it's through stories, whether it's through my feed posts, because my data for the last year with my content creation has provided, like, when you do a consistent run of posting to be like, okay, cool, let's get some data here. Like, what are people loving? What are people not loving? I had no consistent data.
Yeah.
I posted my lifestyle. I posted face to cam talking, giving actual value of like, this is what my client said. This is what I said. This is how we worked through this. Or I actually I stopped doing a lot of like just simple like training sessions. I actually came in and went, if you've got this problem, this is the solution.
Yeah.
If you've got this problem, this is the solution.
Yeah.
Because
edit that one out.
I was like, what the fuck? Because a lot of people, I feel like, were responding more to that directness of a topic.
Yeah, okay.
But in saying that, it's so hard to know. It's because of that, like, I don't know, grind of me trying to find the sweet spot of being like, where's the data sitting? But I just, I mean, don't
data
even have an
is
answer.
weak. Data is weak in Instagram because people have just changed their consuming behaviors online. Like, that's just the reality. Less people are liking. A lot of people are more in the sending and, the saving era, which is always good to be able to attract. But I do think that's an interesting, that's an interesting perspective. And I hear a lot about Like I think what I really like about podcasting is people either find it like through the awareness phase, which is, you know, if you're really good with video, typically you're really leveraging like new people finding you, your page, because you've got like high quality video content going out. And, you know, Instagram favors that with Reels, TikTok favors that obviously in general, and YouTube Shorts, that seems to be like the organic push. There's that element where it's like people finding out about you. But I think where your particular instant is actually more so the consideration phase. So people find you whatever. They may have been following you for a while, but then if you're hearing like that people are actually going back and binging your content, that they're like, oh, I don't know if I should buy into this. I don't know whether I should buy into what she's selling. They go and they're considering it, and then that's what's actually informing their purchase decision. That's what's actually informing their purchase decision, which is really like, that's really good to see. And I think that comes from, I guess like we talk about like literally how do we stand out, and when you're on a two-dimensional social media feed with every other person in your industry posting about fitness, workouts, food, inspiration, you know, we all know the content pillars. Standing out, well, it's actually extremely difficult. But if you're able to bring them off that platform and have a one-on-one conversation with them like a podcast is, then I guess like that's my prediction for what's going to work in the most saturated industries.
I got reminded like the other week that it's just a game.
Yeah.
It's a literal game and you got to play it right.
Yeah. And what do you mean by that?
A game of like I know me personally, I got sucked in.
Yeah.
I got sucked in to attaching my worth to every single part of my Instagram, socials, everything. And I had to go through, I did a week off social media like maybe over a month ago. Best thing I ever fucking did.
Yeah.
Especially after a year of posting every single day.
Which I want to unpack. And can I just say that, because I've also done a social media phase, and I'm like, I did not crave it. At the end of it, I'm like, if I didn't have a business, I could have just stayed off that platform forever.
I almost didn't want to come back.
Yeah.
Like I didn't want to come back. And it was really interesting because I'm always someone that I've worked through a lot of like not good enough wounds, like deep shit of like not believing in myself. But when I pictured my future with this, I fully believe I can do it.
Oh, yeah. I do
After
too.
this cleanse that I did, say like social cleanse for a week, at the end of it, I started to not want to come back, and I started to actually doubt my ability to do it after this.
Okay, so that's somewhat negative in a way.
Yeah, so it was like a shit, because I also got news from, so I had a content coach and we were going through like all my data and everything and what worked and what didn't.
And was it on Instagram only?
On Instagram.
Yeah, okay.
I wanted to touch TikTok, but I haven't actually stemmed over there, and I'm like, oh, I wonder if that would have been so different. And you start to go, oh, da-da-da-da-da.
But I think that's what you're going to say is going to be quite relatable, because I think a lot of people with established businesses are on Instagram still, and we all know we need to move over to TikTok. So I'm curious to hear what you learnt from this experience.
Oh, it's just like when we did the whole data look thing, and at the end of the day, she actually said to me, she goes, you might need to start a new account. And she goes, I know this is my content coach. She goes, that's because I hired one purely because I was like, I need help because I don't know what I'm doing, if I'm doing it right, like all these different things. But in the sense of that, and I was actually talking to a friend about it the other day, because funny, we've been in this chat recently of how frustrating content can actually be.
Yeah.
Like when people ask me this question, is it easy? And I see a lot of business people out there being like, it's not hard. And I was like, it is fucking hard. Like it is hard. It is. Otherwise everyone would have it. Yeah. Everyone just posting would have the results, would have the thing. It is hard work. Yeah. You actually do have to think, edit, create something, be different in a way that's not losing who you are when you be different. Yeah. And losing the truth. And like I said before about that uniqueness, being rightly unique, as in like, this is the truth, this is who I am, this is actually what works, and this is who I am behind the scenes. And trying to actually portray this is who I am behind the scenes, this is why I preach this stuff, gets lost in the noise, I feel like. Yeah. Because there's a lot of people that are doing the opposite of saying, da-da-da-da-da, this is this, but behind the scenes, they're not doing any of that shit. Yeah. And then people are, oh, that looks fun and interesting, and then they get lost down there. So when I had this conversation with her, and she was like, cool, we've done the thing, like you are doing everything correct. Like your content is interesting, it's engaging, it's da-da-da. And there's obviously so many more things that, you know, you can always attempt. You can go live more. You can try and stimulate engagement. She goes, I just don't think your audience is working for you. And I was like,
that's hard.
Oh, I was like, you just punched me straight in the gut. Like, not her fault, whatever. But like, even she was sitting there going, I am so sorry to be saying this to you, because I know that's like a content creator's worst nightmare to hear those words. Start a new account. And she goes, how does that sound? And I was like, look, my ego's not that big enough, like that, not that big that I wouldn't go and give that a go. I wouldn't go and start a new account and try. But I was like, what if I'm doing the exact same thing for the next 6 months? And I've just done 6 months. Like, it started to seriously affect me deep down. And she goes, look, just do a week off, because I can see how attached you are to these results. Go and do a week off. So when I did that week off, I went, like, it is hard. It is hard being in there. You're getting attached. You get lost in the noise. And when I had that reminder of it's just a game, and when I realized, like, for me especially, like, I muted and went on a big, like, I'm using Instagram, but I need to just use it.
You're a creator, not a consumer.
I was like, I cannot consume the level that I was consuming, because that was fucking me up big time. That made me feel like, for no lack of better words, like a piece of shit. I felt like I, on the grand scheme of things, was a crumb in a loaf of bread. Like, I was like, I am nothing. And that started to make me impact the way that I showed up slightly.
Yeah.
So then when I went on this cleanse and I was like, yep, done, and like muted everyone even when I came back, didn't consume other people's stuff, I started to realize how much, I guess, you get lost in the noise, and you get lost in the fact of, oh, this person's saying it this way and this person's, I was like, it's a game. It's actually a game. A lot of people are manipulating their content because it's marketing.
Yeah.
And I got lost in, oh, like, she's saying that, like, and then she's saying this, and then it's like two completely different. And I'm like, it's a fucking game. People are trying to use snappy words that pull people in, but that's not what they actually mean. They've just pulled people in to a point.
So
does that make sense?
It does. With that in mind, would you say, are you subscribing to the game now? Like, after having that week off, are you like, okay, it's a game, I'm going to play it as in, I'm going to use that language, I'm going to pull them in? Or are you like, I see the game, I unsubscribe, and I'm just going to show up as, and then I want to know.
After that week, I basically went, I'm going to post whatever the fuck I want to post when I want to post it. If I post every day, I post every day. If I don't post every day, I don't post every day.
Yeah.
I needed to change my relationship to it.
Yeah.
And I don't want to say that it's worked, because I haven't done it long enough for any of that data to not be anything.
Yeah.
But my posts recently, like, I get consistent likes. When I say consistent likes, like, there's some posts that I posted, I'm like, well, that was fucking dead. That didn't do anything. But for some reason, some of my posts recently have got more shares, got more saves, got more engagement to them, what you would call engagement. Not the things that I guess are the typing of engagement that you want that works on Instagram. Like, comments are apparently a big thing, but like, no, I don't get that many comments on those things. And you have to, I don't know, there's a lot of strategy behind it.
Yeah.
But I just went, fuck it all. Like, I'm going to post what I want to post when I want to post it, because I need to just change my relationship to it. If I seen that work? I don't know. Like,
but are you feeling better about it?
Yeah.
So that's something.
Yes. My relationship to it has changed so much. And it was just like, just post. If I don't post on my stories today, I don't post on my stories today.
Yeah.
Like, I was so attached to having to post. Like, it was like, oh, story, post, fit. And you're like, oh my God. Just getting lost in that. I have to keep up.
Yeah.
I have to keep up with everyone. Everyone's doing it more, doing it better. And unfortunately, you have to. Unfortunately, to stand out these days, you have to, like, everyone's doing good. But to do great, you need to be extraordinary. So it's like, to do good, you're just doing the thing, but like, to stand out above that means you have to actually go above and beyond and show up in a million different ways. It's just that's what I feel like the pressure in social media is, of how different and more full on you actually have to be.
Yeah.
If you're not established back in the day, if you've been established a couple of years ago, it's a whole different ball game for those people.
Yeah.
But if you're starting out now in the noise, to like uncover yourself and be like, I'm here, it just feels so different.
What advice would you give to someone who's literally just starting, like they're currently a PT and they're about to start their Instagram to get one-on-one clients in person and also have a online component? What would be your advice in terms of based off what you've learned of what's working right now or even what hasn't worked, so what not to do?
Don't fall into the trends, because when you fall into the trends, you fall into the noise.
Yeah. Bang.
Like you fall.
Bang, bitch.
Like, yeah.
So fucking true. If it's trending, there's a lot of people doing it.
Yeah, you're falling into the noise. And I was stuck in that for so long.
Yeah.
Because I didn't have a voice. And when I say I didn't have a voice, I knew my voice. I didn't know how to portray it.
Yeah.
And when I figured that out, and when I figured that, like, I've gone through, when I say I've gone through, like last year, I've gone through so many different seasons of business that it's not funny. Yeah. So many different seasons of business. And my recent season was changing from being a face-to-face coach to being an online coach. And I'm in the position now where I was able to make that decision. Last year was for the human for me. I didn't really focus on the business. I just focused on me to find my voice.
Yeah. Well, you had a lot of personal stuff going on as well, like that year or the year before, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So that's.
Yeah. So like to fill everyone in, I lost my mum literally just under 2 years ago. So before that, I was running a really successful face-to-face business. I was happy with what I was earning. I was still in the business drive of like, I want to build, but I was comfortable with what I was doing. And I was just face-to-face then, even though I had dabbled online since COVID. Like I was dabbling in it. It was like, oh, okay, cool. Like I lost my business. I need to go on my own. But on my own was more so face-to-face.
Yeah.
So I did that for a couple of years. Then when I lost mum, just through the journey of that in itself, I lost my face-to-face business because emotionally and physically I could not show up to the degree that I needed to because obviously I needed to be there for her.
Yeah.
So that's reality. That was life.
Yeah.
That's the season. Then my next season was I'm shattered as a human being.
Yeah.
I need to find my strengths. I need to find my resilience. I need to find my voice. I need to find what is it that I'm actually here to pass on to people. Like genuinely. I was like, what is it that I'm actually here for compared to all the other people? I was like, I'm not them. I'm me. What is it that Isabella Satara has literally been put on this earth to pass on to people? Because I had a passion in this. It wasn't just I'm doing this because it's a trend in itself of becoming a PT. I was like, I'm not doing this. If that was the case, I didn't fall into it. I've been a PT for 8+ years.
Yeah.
But started in the industry like 7 years ago.
Yeah.
And when I say that, I started studying, but I wasn't actually working as a PT when I was studying. So that's why I chose to go study when 2015. And then I didn't start working until like 2018. Just after I did my degree,
Yeah.
But just getting lost in that noise is the one thing. And going through the season of, okay, I've come out of that. I need to work on my human and find my voice. And just in that in itself, and hey, I'm still in the midst of it. I'm still in the midst of like, who is me? And I feel like just the middle of this year, I've started to actually come out of it. And I've started to actually see what works in terms of just speaking the truth and actually just being who you are. And that's why a personal brand is big on that. But if you want to build a personal brand and you fall into a trend, you are being everyone else. And this is a big thing is everyone wants to be different, but then they also want to fit in. And it's like you can't fit in if you want to be different.
Yeah.
Because that's like the complete opposite meaning.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of people when they're starting being PTs, they fall into all the fitness trends, into It's like a lot of the time just start on your journey. Like actually speak to your journey.
Yeah. What I'm hearing is it's like, of course, most PTs or most people in your industry specifically, you're all naturally going to be talking about the same thing. Similar to like in a marketing industry like myself, we're all essentially going to say create good quality content and post it regularly, for example. Like that is the foundational message. But the problem is if I was to just go and look at all the other pages or like yourself of like how to build your glutes or whatever, if we was focusing on just the strength side of what you do, and replicate that content, you're sure you might get a lot of views on that, but the actual, I guess, further engagement or buy-in from that audience member is going to be next to nothing because they're just going to scroll on and find the next one.
You need authority.
You need authority. And I think that comes from, like you've already reflected on, if I was to reflect it back to you, is like literally finding your voice. And so you can do all the content creation on like Instagram and all those apps, but it's like, what is your unique opinion about that? What is your nuanced perspective on like how to sustain that? Like all of these like layers to what you do or what you preach is what's going to make you stand out. So it's actually less about creating, and you've already learnt this the hard way by actually posting every single day and doing what they say, what the online gurus say. Post every day and you will be successful. Well, you did that and you learnt the hard way that actually, no, I didn't see as much conversions as I would like. Sure, a little bit of extra views here, but is that what I even want? Ends up not. And I really feel like that's a really like powerful message for someone who is starting out or is in a similar position to you to actually hear and be like, oh, it's actually less about create, replicate, and more about actually how can I get what I have to say and those like the multi-dimension that I offer to the world out there and make that what people connect with me about.
Valuable.
Yeah.
It's definitely value-driven content. And I think just speaking of your experience, like I know I always gained more traction and more attention when I spoke about my transformation.
Yeah.
When I spoke about the behind the scenes, when I was more real with my journey. And I feel like that's why people can connect with you a little bit more is when you are real, when they can connect with you.
Yeah.
And we get a lot, I don't know, I feel like I got mixed up in being authority and being like, oh, if I'm authority, then I need to be the leader and I can't relate to you then because if I'm relating to you, then I am you.
Interesting. I think that happens to a lot of people.
And I got in that. I was like, no, I need to be, and this is when I was like, oh my God, Issy, your ego of like, I need to be better than you because if I'm not, then how are you learning from me?
Yeah.
And I was like, no, we're actually the exact same fucking human.
Yeah.
I just choose differently.
Yeah.
That's it. That's all that it was. And it kind of grounded me back down to go, no, authority is actually based off actions, not words. And if people can see that you're doing the thing, and unfortunately, a lot of the time it is results driven.
Yeah.
You need something to go like, this is the before and after.
I don't believe that's an unfortunate thing. Like I think any person in a service-based business or product-based business, you need to be able to articulate, this is what I do for you. Like this is the transformation I make.
Yeah.
Like otherwise, of course people aren't going to buy in, right?
And that's why a lot of people are now doing their before and afters and showing like for me, for example, when I started CrossFit training, I had a video of me doing my toes to bar. And back then I remember posting it going like, look at me go. A year later, looking at my toes to bar now versus then, I can see why that's why people go, oh, true. If she can stick with it, I can.
Yeah.
If she's also gone through, like I had one of my clients reflect to me going, if Izzy can do hard things, I can do hard things.
Yeah.
So if I'm actually out there physically showing that I'm doing it, that's the big difference. I think a lot of people talk a lot of stuff, but if they can't see it or feel it through your journey, then they miss that mark with it. And I think that's what a lot of people are trying to do through falling into trends of like, oh, that's a really cool video. Let me follow that trend. I'll just post a couple of videos of my day-to-day life. But they're not actually getting to know who you are as a human.
Yeah.
What you've been through, what your journey actually is.
Yeah.
And why you do the thing that you do. So I don't know, because I'm still in that phase where I'm kind of like, it's worked, but it hasn't worked. So I'm still
It's definitely worked. I feel like you get a little bit like a bit of dissonance about your success because it's definitely worked. I would say, I think that you are a very ambitious woman who wants, you're similar to me. Like it's like, check, 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 but I'm not like a million miles ahead of where I am.
Yeah.
Where you want to be and where you are right now are two different places. But
and you can get mixed, you can fall into that trap. And I did for a really long time. That's why I've kind of just accepted my seasons now.
Yeah.
Because I remember talking to someone a long time ago about this. A long time ago, it was probably like last year. And I was saying like, oh, like I'm nearly 29. I'm like, my business isn't where I want it to be. it's really hard. Like I'm doing all the things. I see people, and this is the comparison piece of I'm seeing people grow within 8 to 9 months. Like why didn't that happen for me? What's going on? Da 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 da. And I don't know. It's a lot of you're still discovering yourself. There's still something to discover, but not getting caught up in that comparison, not getting caught up in, oh, she's miles ahead of me, or she just started and she grew in 8 months. And you just can't, because you just don't know. Like you don't know the ins and outs of it. And I say that to a lot of people who say things to me of like, oh my God, it's so great that you can go all online now. Like, oh, I really hope that happens for me one day. And I'm like, your situation's so different to mine.
Yeah.
I was like, from losing mum, we gained a house where we don't have to pay rent. I was like, so I don't have to pay rent. Do you know how much more money I get back from not having to stress about paying rent?
Yeah.
I was like, so yeah, financially, I actually could leave a job that was my safety net to pay my rent.
Yeah.
Whereas now I don't have to do that.
Yeah.
Then losing the identity of working face to face to then going, okay, cool, I kind of want to explore different things, different, like, you know, and I started doing 10 to 15 hours a week working as like a marketing girly for an accounting firm.
Awesome.
Because I was like, I want to explore different ways of doing things and just accepting the different seasons that you're in.
Yeah.
But I know that you can fall into a thing of comparison of this person grew so fast and this and that, and then you lose, I don't know, it goes back to getting attached really quickly to everything and being like, I have to do more and more and more and more. And it's like, cool, I'm not where I want to be, but that's okay. I'm doing the thing, and I'm learning and I'm growing. And eventually if I lose in the in that pattern of you trying to rush it, you'll just lose who you are. And you just have to kind of just don't accept, like, you've got to work hard. You've got to genuinely work hard. You can't bypass that, but not from a rushed form of attachment of like, oh, if I don't get this and that, because then you lose yourself. And then that's when we fall into trends and we get desperate
100%
with wanting to do it. Because the one time I've always known that it works is when I'm my actual self, when I'm not like comparing and consuming too much. Then like, oh, am I speaking like that person, or am I speaking like her? Like, I don't actually know if I'm speaking like me.
Yeah.
And then you go and you do the cleanse and you start speaking like yourself, and it's like magic. Sometimes it's actually like magic.
Yeah.
There's like, what was the difference? I said the exact same thing last week, but no, they can tell. People can tell when you're not in your authentic energy, some magic voodoo way. They are like, I know you're not speaking like Isabel Starr.
Yeah.
And then the minute that I actually do, because I detach and I realize it's a game, and I'm like, I'm going to play the game my way, so that I do. And that's when I get people going, I really liked what you said today. That really resonated with me. That called me forward. That this, that. And I'm like, isn't that really fucking interesting? Because I was literally just being me.
Yeah.
And I also critiqued the shit out of myself. And I was having an anxiety attack about posting that story because I was like, oh, is that to me? And I'm like, whoa, like, look what that can actually do to you.
Yeah.
And then I went, fuck it. I'm posting it the exact way that I want to post it, how I want to. I said what I needed to say. And then you start to panic. Oh, did I say everything that I needed? Just post it.
Yeah.
Then when you do and you realize that that is who I am, this is my journey, this is my vulnerability, this is da-da-da-da, that's when I felt the biggest shift.
Love that.
And change. And that's when I feel like a lot more people have started to engage with my platform. And I want to, like I said, I don't know if it's a coincidence or not, but ever since I lost that detachment and falling into the trends and trying to subconsciously be like everyone else, I wasn't purposely being like, I need to be like her and I need to be like her. It was just like, I need to be me.
100%.
And who am I? And through doing the work, like self-development work has absolutely helped me with this.
Yeah.
Learning to show up in your way and be a leader through not just your words, but your actions.
Yeah.
And that then helps you then go, cool, I'm talking about this today, da-da-da-da. And people can feel you through the thing. And then you don't have to share. And I don't know, I don't feel like you need to, because a lot of people think, oh, well, I haven't really gone through any hard things, or I haven't really experienced a lot, but I want to help people. And I'm like, your journey helps people.
Yeah.
Your journey, and I say your journey of you've worked through being insecure to being confident in your body. That's a journey. You don't need to go through trauma, hard shit to talk about stuff. But if you try and bypass your journey, I think and try to be like other people subconsciously by saying, oh, she's saying that sounded really cool, I'm going to talk about that. They know.
Yeah.
Somehow they know.
100%. I'm going to surmise a few things, like, just for that listener who I just feel like there's so much that you just said that's so valuable. number one, I would say like take some time to just build awareness around if you actually are being pulled into saying things that aren't fully you. And we've all been victim to that. I feel like if you're creating content for your business and you consume any level of social media, then definitely been a time where you may have just been like, oh, that's something I want to talk about, and you accidentally regurgitate instead of like truly create from your own voice. And I think, yeah, if you can build awareness about when that's happening, don't shame yourself for it, but then go on that cleanse or mute everyone and figure out what it is you want to say and just post it your way. Such good advice. And there was something else you said that I just thought was so good, but I mean, everyone listened to it, so I'm sure they got it.
It's just knowing where you're at.
Yeah.
And this was a big journey for me.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
That's what I was going to say. Also, you mentioned about like being desperate energy when you're posting, like you need this post to do well so you can get the business, so you can be successful, all that attachment. You've done just amazing at detaching. And I love that you mentioned that you got like, you know, a job for a bit, because that's the best way, in my opinion, to detach, you know, from your business. Because if you are genuinely relying on your business for like financial reasons, as most of us, you know, can and do and will, and we're in an economic crisis, you can like, it can feel in that moment that because you're not getting sales or signups that you're not worthy or you suck, and your mind can play some serious tricks on you then. So then the easiest way to do that, instead of doing journaling, like do that too, but it's just like, okay, how can I make my personal self feel safe by not having to rely on my business, and then have a really healthy relationship with my business and allow me to be as patient as I know I actually really need to be.
Yep.
So I think that is something that people should really talk about more. That I know through friends in like, you know, that I've got in the industry, and also through clients, that a lot of people have picked up a few hours here and there in order to build that safety around them and be able to continue to show up. Such good advice for anyone.
You don't have the pressure, and like you can absolutely go balls deep if you want to go balls deep. But
fully,
like,
but it's just better when you
just
don't have the pressure.
You don't, exactly, because like for me, for example, face-to-face was my safety.
Yeah.
And then when I got rid of that, because I realized I wasn't enjoying it anymore.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm actually fooling myself to stay here.
Yeah.
And it's impacting the people that are coming to me, and that does not, like, I don't fuck with that integrity. Like that doesn't make me feel good. And I'm not just out to take people's money just to make my way. And I was like, well, what can I actually do then? I can find another job.
100%. I did the same thing. Well, not in the same way. Like I didn't do a job, but I had like 2 marketing service clients where I was just like, you know, what I was telling to Iz earlier before we started recording is that this year for me has been actually me taking a huge step back from scaling the business. Business has been running, service has been providing, and the clients have been, you know, well and truly like in my world. But in terms of actually growing the business to the next level, I decided, you know what, this year I don't want to do that. I want to focus on my personal life, my relationship and all that stuff. And so I just got myself a couple of marketing clients where I just did all their marketing just for that safety net. And I like, obviously, did I need to? Don't know. Can look back in zero and see whether I could have survived anyway. But the point is, like, I wanted to feel safe no matter what. And if I knew I wasn't actively doing all the steps, like marketing wise, that I was doing the year before, then of course I'm going to have to be okay with business maybe dipping if it needed to dip. And so I couldn't advocate for this piece of advice more, because I felt it. You've done it. Yeah. So many people I know have done it, and there's nothing wrong with it. And it can be perceived as like your voice will tell you you're taking a step back, your inner voice, but you need to shut that shit down.
Yeah. You're like, oh, you failed.
Yeah.
You suck. You've gotten another job. You're done.
It's like, no, actually not at all.
No, I've done this
reason
strategically.
You're succeeding.
Yeah, different seasons, different things, different ways in which you got to show up. And there is one thing that's actually going to contradict what we've just said, because it's absolutely worthy of doing it. And my mentor even said, when I told her, I was actually really scared to tell her. I have a business mentor, and she was like, I was so scared to tell her that I got another job.
Really?
Yeah. And I was like, oh, what's she going to say? Like, because I hired her for a reason. She tells me the truth.
Yeah.
And I was like, I value that in her, and I value that now as a human. I was like, don't waste my fucking time. Tell me the truth.
Yeah.
Tell me whether this is stupid or not. She said, that's probably one of the best decisions you've ever made.
Yeah.
And this is a she's now 7-figure coach.
Yeah.
She went, that's an amazing decision. And I went, okay. I trusted my gut, and I went, I know this is what I needed to do. But I was worried. There was a portion of time where I was like, I'm worried about being safe, because I know I used to be in a position where I was employed. Like that's what I was always employed. I never worked on my own. This was before COVID.
Yeah.
And I always stayed in that safety.
Yeah.
And I was like, don't go back to that. Is like, don't, you want it. Like, there's a lot of reason why, and this is same as fitness goals. A lot of people don't change is because they're safe. And I was like, just find that sweet line find that line between not attaching to that thinking it's your safety, still do your best with your business. Like still go, no, you're not actually safe because you don't want to be doing this forever. You actually want your business to be your main form of income. So I was worried about that. And I was worried about being back in that position where I went, oh, I don't really have to worry now. Like I've got a second job. Like
I think,
and you can subconsciously be complacent with it. If that makes sense.
And you're bang on with that. But I think that if you're thinking about the fact you're scared that you might get comfortable and not be, you know, as ambitious as you now are, is the exact reason why you won't do that. Like if you literally before you took this job or decided to look for a job, was aware that this could happen and you're like, no, I don't want that to happen. That to me is enough evidence to know that you won't let it happen. It's just like the whole that I saw some reel or some TikTok, like this guy was talking about how the people who need to hear David Goggins, like the whole get up, run, no one, go.
Yeah.
Like are the people who are not type A and are not like, you know, probably the ones listening to him like, yeah, I need to, like you probably don't need to listen to David Goggins in the morning because you are up at 5 a.m. or before doing your training, you're eating well, you're friggin' growing your business, you're hustling, you're saving, you've got it all happening. Yet like he has a place, that message has a place. And for the other person like who literally has this dream that they have sat on for the last 5 years, they want to become whatever it is, like they want to start a podcast, they want to be a writer, they want to launch a business, whatever it is, and they literally haven't yet even like started the Instagram or TikTok page or haven't bought the domain, that person absolutely does need like that kick up the bum. But I just think that it's about like as the entrepreneur in control of your destiny, have like think about, and this is the thing, don't overconsume content around this stuff because it's like for me, I've wanted to take a step back this year and like I had the inner voice being like, no, you shouldn't. But it's like, yes, I should. Like, and it's done so good for me. But equally, like if I could have kept going and like maybe I'd be burnt out right now, you know?
Yeah.
But the other could be true, like those lazy phases of life, then you need to just push through.
I just know that one big thing for me was when it comes to showing up is just teaching from where you're at, coaching from where you're at, mentoring where you're at, like whatever, because I got stuck in that same as the comparison piece of subconsciously trying to be like everyone else. I was like, oh, they said that and they're really big in the industry, so that's going to make me look cool. That's going to get me my clients. And it's the minute that you do that, that's when you've lost your authority.
Yeah.
And that's where I think I got sucked into. I was like, oh, that's really cool to say. Or even just listening to a David Goggins quote, like literally because you've mentioned him.
Yeah.
Listening to a David Goggins quote and going, oh shit, that hit me. Yes. Going and replicating it and saying it to your audience, you've got no authority.
Yeah.
None.
Agreed.
And that's where you have to go, just speak. Like, it doesn't matter if I don't sound professional. I'm not using all the right big words. I don't articulate things the way that maybe the big people that I look up to articulate things. I'm saying it the way that I need to say it for the people that are listening to me that need to hear it.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
And when you're starting on your journey. You can share your journey of, okay, I did this the other day. And that's why I throw myself into a lot more things because then I've got more experience to pull on.
Yeah.
Like that's why I love my dirt bike riding because I'm like, bro, do you know how hard it is to be a beginner as an adult?
Yeah.
Do you know how hard it is to go out there and suck at something? That's why I do it, to remind myself what it's like to be a beginner. And that passes through into my business big time.
Fucking hell.
So if there's like one thing I can tell people starting out, go and learn to be a beginner at something by doing something you're shit at.
Yeah. I've recently done this with chess. It's very confronting.
Chess.
Yeah. It's like
so unexpected.
Yeah. I am just like, you know, in a lot of rooms, this sounds so ego, but like in a lot of rooms, I'm the best at what I'm doing, but it's purely because I'm drawing people into my business and, you know, but it's been very humbling being like losing at chess repeatedly.
I love that. I love that.
But I was like, wow, this is
That's so random, and I love that.
Yeah.
But it's true. That's why I walked into a CrossFit gym because, like you said, I was the best at the gym I was working at.
Yeah, exactly.
People looked at me. They're like, holy shit, she's fit. She's strong.
Yeah.
I'm a coach there for a reason. And I went, I'm not growing.
Yeah,
I'm not being pushed the way that I want to be pushed. I can feel that complacency coming in. And I was like, no, I don't like that.
Yeah.
So I walked into a CrossFit gym and I'm still humbled to this day.
Yeah.
I am not even close to being close to the fittest people in that room.
Wow.
I'm like, I go through phases of being like, oh my fucking God, this is insane.
I couldn't imagine me being in that room, I'll tell you that.
It is humbling. But the thing is with that is that's one of my that's like a comfort zone for me.
Yeah.
And not in a bad way, but I'm like, I can be in a room with people that are so much better than me and I can still look at myself and go, you're a sick bitch.
Yeah. Growth mindset, baby.
Like, you are a motherfucking G.
Yeah.
Even though there are people that are better than you. And that is where you need to be. Like, that is what you need to find out from yourself. That's what you need to feel is that regardless of there being people that are better than you, because there are, at the end of the day, there are people that are better than you out there, you are still elite.
Yeah.
And to feel that, I feel like then you can start operating from that and you can start to go, okay, now I can start to speak from me and who I am and understand I'm here.
Yeah.
Because there are people that, like, you're better than someone else. So those are the people looking up to you at this level. They may not need, like for me, for example, when I saw a particular coach who was higher than my business mentor, I was like, I don't need you. That's like way too into the future. This person is the level that I need to be at. This person resonates with me. You're going to be that person for someone else.
100%.
Someone's at your level, searching for you, waiting for you, understanding that they need you to speak up about your level for a reason because they're looking for that level and they can resonate with you. They can choose, they can grow with you through that phase. And you know, when you do that, that's when people grow with you through all your different phases. You find your people. And I feel like that's where when you just learn to be a beginner at something, learn to get out of your ego and humble yourself, you start to realize, oh, it is that's the game. Like,
do that elsewhere and then realize that business is just going to go a lot easier.
Yeah. And then, I don't know, taking people along your journey, that's all it was. Like for me, it was like, I'm doing this, I'm going on this, like what did I learn from this situation? What did I learn? And showing up authentically like that. Like I've just started doing this and documenting your journey because at the end of the day, when we think of influencers, we think of personal brand, we think of anyone that's grown, they've grown through their own journey.
Yeah.
They've grown through, this is what I do, unless you're someone who just posts like evidence-based shit every single day.
Yeah.
Personal brands popped up for a reason.
Yeah.
That's where people are starting to find uniqueness of this is the human that I am. This is my niche. This is what I do. Like for me, for example, being a performance coach.
Yeah.
I'm a strength coach. Do not come to me for your physique because I'm going to tell you we're starting off by training you to be really fucking strong.
Yeah.
And people who are searching for physique are not going to like that.
Yeah.
Unless I can teach them that that's the way I got my body and my physique was through training performance. Yeah. That's how you can kind of pull some people over. But that's
you don't
why
want
I'm like,
people who are after the other thing. That's the thing.
I'm not going to put you on a stage and get you to, we're not going to the the body, you know what it's called?
I don't.
On stage physique show.
Bikini body stuff.
Bikini body stuff. I'm like, that's not me, but I'll teach you how to be really strong. I'll teach you how to take care of yourself. I'll teach you how to feel better and heal your not good enough wound. Like, that's what I do. That's my niche.
Yeah.
I'll teach you to be disciplined.
Yeah.
That's it. Anything else? It's not really my niche.
Yeah.
Like, I can probably still teach you, but you need to find out, like,
what do you care about and then create from that place and attract the people that want that literal problem solved.
Yeah. And what shifted for you? That's why I always go, why did I start strength training? And go back to that journey and go, okay, I started strength training because it made me feel really confident.
100%. Okay, you have just given so much advice and I'm like really envious for the person. Like, I wish I had a you in my industry when I first started because that was just honestly gold. I'm going to finish the ep by, I have I'm going to finish the ep by asking you a question. You get to have absolutely no idea what the question is.
I love that.
You just have to tell me what number from
secretly don't love that, but love that.
From 1 to 100.
Yeah.
Let me just get it back. It's called Thought-Provoking Podcast Questions. It's a little list that I've actually created and it's the bomb. So there's different categories within here: personal journey, relationships and people, mental health and resilience, lessons and challenges, vulnerability and growth, purpose and vision, creativity and innovation, and advice for others. So we're going in. Oh, there's actually more than that. It's been built out for a very long time.
Oh yeah, wow.
So you've got no idea
Wow.
what you're going to be, question you're going to be asked. You just have to tell me 1 to 100 what you're going to.
Oh, a number.
Yeah.
Oh, I got to tell you a number. 72.
72, coming right up. Oh, I feel like we've actually fully asked this question in this, so I'm going to bump you up to 73. Or would you like a new number?
I can give you a new number, 10.
10, okay. Because it was, what advice would you give to someone starting out? And I feel like
literally
I've spent the whole episode doing that.
There you go.
Number 10, okay. Have you ever felt like giving up? What made you keep going?
Oh. Have you ever felt like giving up? Yes, every single fucking day.
Oh, girl.
Every day. I feel like that's the answer for any business owner.
Yeah.
Every day. In my own fitness journey, every fucking day.
Yeah.
Like, I don't feel like you're hitting the mark unless you feel like you want to give up every single day.
You're not pushing hard enough.
Like, it was, every day.
Wow.
What got me, kept me going was understanding that the reason why I started, that's it. That grounded me every single day. You need to have a strong enough why. If you don't have a strong enough why for what you're actually doing, it will not stick. And this is something I say with fitness, with my fitness and mindset clients, have a why. Why are you doing what you're doing? Who are you doing it for? At the end of the day, if it's not even valuable enough to continue for yourself, who else are you continuing for? Who else in your life actually will value from you not quitting and continuing and persevering and getting up and grinding and being resilient, being strong, being vulnerable, like whatever the hell you need to be by not quitting? Who is it? And that's what I always ground myself back to. With fitness, my why is for the people that aren't here, for the people that can't. I'm like, that's a big thing because I've lived through the experience of seeing someone lose their strength. So I vowed to myself, I will never, ever take for granted my strength ever again. Because if I lost it tomorrow, I would beg for my strength back. So I'm not taking that for granted. Business, I can envision my future with my children, on a property, with my partner, a beautiful partner, which is, we know relationships take work. Therefore, I have to become a person that does the work to learn to not be so reactive, not be in my ego, to have hard conversations, which means I have to learn to be a better human, which takes work, which means confronting some really fucked up shit about yourself and actually dropping your ego and saying, I was in the wrong, dolls. I was in the wrong. I was wrong.
Yeah.
You were right, and I'm sorry. And saying that as someone who is not used to saying that, you have to, I just think of my why. Him. I think of my kids. What kind of life do I want my kids to have? That's, when I think of quitting, I think, no, Izzy, you were destined for more than this. You have an impact. Like, people, not every day people wake up with the feeling that a lot of us have inside of us. That feeling that you can feel like you're meant for something. There's something more. You were put on this earth for something. Not everybody wakes up with that. Like, not everyone's put on this earth with that. That's why there's the people that choose to do it. Like, you have to remember that reason. I was like, I'm here for something bigger. I've been given the things that I've been given. I've been dished the things that I've been dished for a reason. And you can choose, just because you've been dished things doesn't mean you have to go and become a world healer or a mentor or a coach or something. You can just be that person for the people that come across your life. But like, for me, I was like, I've got a bigger purpose here. I've, for one, decided to stand up and heal generational trauma. That's a massive fucking choice to take on, because that requires a lot of patience and strength from me, and requires me at sometimes being like, I'm alone in this. Why do they get away with everything and I have to be the one to be mature? So you just need a why. That's the one thing that pulls me through giving up every single day, is thinking of that picture and going, how badly do you actually want that picture? And then you remind yourself and you go, I want it really fucking badly.
Could not fault that response. at all. And I honestly just want to leave the podcast there. Thank you so much for coming on. I
Thank you.
appreciate you so much.
Thank you for having me, Sophie.
Anytime.